And then Kelsey afterwards like, that was the best Sheiden interview we've had yet.
It was bad. It's always bad.
I liked your one today.
No, that was horrible.
No, it was good.
I think it was good.
It was actually good.
Yeah, well, it was really good, actually.
No, it was so funny.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pros, special edition. This is the biggest episode of Pros we've ever had. We've never had 5 people on Pros. Did you know that?
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
thanks,
great to be
Busio.
here.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. I wanted to follow up with you first, Busio, and go around the table as a bit of an icebreaker. Talk about solo queue. Because the last time I was here, you were trying to give me advice on how to climb in solo queue. And you told me to play Lulu and Karma.
Yeah.
I didn't make it all the way through the challenge. But I did go 9-1 on Lulu, and I didn't bother trying Karma.
There we go, 9-1. It works.
So this is a quick question. And I'm always interested to hear a pro's advice nowadays, because I'll give you a quick background on my journey if you have no history of me. I actually used to be good at League of Legends, like quite good. I was originally on Dignitas, like first Dignitas.
As a player?
Yeah, as a player. Okay. They were called Rock Solid. And then we needed funding to go to IPL3, which is like, this is pre-LCS. And that was Dignitas. So it was like me, Scara, I'm a Cutie Pie, Voy Boy, and this guy called Locust. Anyway, I'm not that anymore. I'm like a high emerald, low diamond player.
Yikes.
And I can, right, exactly. But I think I've realized all the things that I used to be able to do that I can't do anymore. So before I tell you like what all those things are, I want your advice on how would you tell like an emerald or diamond player to climb in solo queue who plays jungle? Sheiden, any advice?
Just play farming champ and full clear. And
Okay, I agree, but why? Why is that better?
I don't know, just play for yourself, I guess.
Because I had this, the Blabber told me the same thing. He's like, I'm better than the opponent, so if I just control variables and full clear, I'll win.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you're stuck in Emerald, you're not better than your opponent. So is that something that you still do to climb? Do you still want to farm in solo queue? Or do you?
I only farm, I never gang.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Srtty?
Play champions that are good with gold and take all of the gold, because the only person that you can trust in solo queue is yourself. You're not playing competitive, you don't have actual teammates, you need to do it yourself, and so put yourself in the best position to do it. Because it's the same case for the enemy team, and you're going to end up getting free gold somewhere. It's just going to happen. You always hit 3 items, 4 items if you're playing well.
So what if, and here's my problem, I'm very good at getting gold, because I still remember how to like farm and track jungle camps, but I'm really bad at using it. So is it then no longer good? Because I'll generally be like 40 CS up on the opponent at some stage in the game, and like a level or 2 up, and I'll still win. Like I actually don't play that much. I could probably climb a little bit more, but I know I'm probably like capped out at like diamond currently. Yeah, that's my problem.
I see. I mean, in that case, it's just
More practice.
keep getting the gold, because at the end of the day, like I said, you can't really trust anybody else to carry you in solo queue. So you need to be the person to do it one way or another. Whether you're bad at using it now or not is like, doesn't really matter, you know, because you have to be good at using it eventually if you want to climb.
Yes.
And just like recognize what is happening that is making you poor at using the gold, whether you're not at objectives on time, so you can't fight properly even with your advantage, whether it's something else, like, you know, it's just like gameplay related. You're already in a position to carry.
Yeah. Massu, do you remember a time where you were ever bad in solo queue? Like when you started, what rank were you?
Well, I started when I was like 8 or 9, and I was like bronze.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but
like your brain isn't developed yet.
I would say before I actually like started tryharding ranked, I was playing just Kane, and I was diamond.
Okay.
That's where I started off, I guess.
And then what was the thing that changed to get you to being like literally top of the server?
I mean, to be honest, COVID started, so then I had a lot more time at home, and then I started watching more pro play, and I kind of just like picked up on things. I gravitated towards ADC. So then I started using Twitch for the first time, like the app. I started watching like Gumayushi. I started watching Teddy at the time.
Yeah.
And then back then I didn't really like analyze their gameplay because I was still pretty bad. So I just like mimicked what they did.
Yeah.
And then I climbed from Diamond to Challenger. And then like slowly I started understanding why they were doing what they were doing.
Sure.
And how.
You just copied it first and then hoped to figure out the why later.
Yeah, I slowly figured out why.
Do you remember one of the things that you copied early on?
I guess I was pretty bad at Callista.
Okay.
And then when I was watching Gomiyushi, and he would always get level 3 and then somehow find like a good fight. And then I saw like, oh, he was using his jump to maybe like isolate the 1v1 with the ADC, get in range, and then slow them with E, and then him and his support would connect on the same target.
Yeah.
So then I was like trying that in ranked, and that worked pretty well. So then I kept like slowly moving towards micro improvements.
Right. That's interesting. Busio, do you got any hot tips? Because you used to be a mid laner, you switched to support. I remember the story, Papa Smithy telling me, he was like, I told him he could be the carrier of support if he just switched.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the best thing was probably one-tricking. Like, I think I was Diamond, and then I one-tricked Katarina to Challenger. So, I mean, that was the biggest thing. Like, one-tricking is just a cheat code, because you just get super good playing the same champion every game.
I fully agree with that. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice when, like, oh, what's OP? Just go play that. I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like, I can't spend 50 games getting good at this champion.
Yeah, but it's just more efficient. But then the problem is, once I got Challenger, I was completely boosted. I was only good at Katarina, you know? And not even the game, just playing Kat. So then you kind of need to like take a step back. Yo, I need to learn the game.
Did you have to smurf to do that? Or did you just tank all your elo playing new champions?
I just played on the same account. Or I made like 3 accounts.
So you did have to smurf?
No, but I was
You
still
had
playing
your
on that
main
main
account
one.
where you're Katarina, and then you have the other accounts where you're playing other stuff?
No, I had 3 accounts and they're all playing like just normal mid laners.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. I do want to talk about also why we're here with this combination. It's an interesting story. So this was coming to me. Player management was like Massu Busio, but we really want it to be with Sheiden and Srtty.
Okay.
And I wanted to know why. Because we had your interview earlier where Azael asked you how you know Fly Challengers, and you're like, yeah, we like never talked to them.
Yeah.
Confirmed?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So so I was trying to figure out the connection.
Andrew Barton set it up. He just wanted to see us
Probably.
together.
I could see that.
Andrew Barton just wanted to see you together.
Yeah, this was an Andrew.
Yep.
What do you remember from Andrew Barton? He's the GM of Flyquest,
Yeah.
and also I imagine Fly Challenger, so you have a relationship with him.
I worked with them in EG.
And just EG, not Fly, because the
Fly
timing
too.
wouldn't have matched up.
Last year, I think. Yeah, last year. Wait, was that? I don't
Yeah,
know.
last year, Andrew.
Oh, yeah,
was
last year.
Yeah.
Too.
So that's it. Andrew
Yeah.
Barton just loves to have Sheiden content.
Yep.
He actually does, yeah.
He does.
He believes in you.
He talks about him all the time.
Actually,
Andrew loves you, yeah.
that's crazy because when I was in EG with him, he would like try his best for me to not get content.
Oh.
He's trying to look out
So
for you.
I've
bro.
heard the opposite.
weird.
I remember Kelsey. You worked with Kelsey. She was
Yeah,
your
the
coach. She was saying all the time, like, that your personality behind the scenes really comes out. But then on camera, it's like, he's getting a lot better, he's getting a lot better. And I think you were on the analyst desk at one point with like Raz and Mark for one interview.
Oh, I remember.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, where they asked me about Blabber, I think.
Yeah. And then Kelsey afterwards, like, that was the best Sheiden interview we've had yet.
It was bad. It's always bad.
I liked your one today.
No, that was horrible.
No, it was good.
I think it was good.
It was actually good.
Yeah, well, it was really good actually.
No, it was so funny. Because Azael was just laughing. Because you gave him the one word, and he's like, oh, okay. You're just being too based.
He tried to help me too before the actual questioning. I still messed it up. It's too hard. I don't know.
No, but it's actually like more entertaining. You should keep just doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like actually.
That's what I was telling him. It's working for him.
Yeah,
it
no,
actually
it's
is.
actually good.
Yes, it's actually good.
Legitimately be yourself. Like that's
Oh
the
yeah,
best
I
thing.
mean, yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Which is this a question? Because I've never worked with you behind the scenes. And there's obviously like a lot of practice and time that comes with being on camera and not overthinking it. So curious, what's the difference with Sheiden on camera versus in a team environment?
When he's not on camera, he's a lot more outgoing. He's actually like a pretty smart guy, and he talks a lot when he's off cam. So it's just like, I don't know.
I'm hoping by the end of the episode, we're just chatting. That the cameras aren't there. You never know.
Yeah.
But unironically, this actually pisses me off a lot. So there was a tweet going on. Your interview's like a little bit viral that you had with Azael. Like I Will Dominate was
bit.
like called you. He said he quote retweeted, said my goat. Like a bunch of people said like more Sheiden interviews. But then there's also other people that are basically just being haters and saying like, oh, this is why LTA content is failing or something, but I completely disagree. Because like, how many interviews have we had where they happen and then they're gone, nobody talks about it, nobody's entertained, but for whatever reason, your interviews, there's no one who's going to watch an interview and say, oh yeah, now I don't care about Sheiden. Like, there's going to be so many more people that are your fans when you put yourself out there.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Every interview I do, I just get tagged and I just see everyone commenting like just funny stuff. It's just funny.
It's good for your brand.
I don't think I have a brand, but maybe yeah, that's my brand, I guess.
All right. It's part
So
of it.
it's the most distinct. It's actually the most distinct interview brand of anyone in the league.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, maybe like him and Brippo probably have like the most distinct interviews, I think.
I had a joke. Did you see the Bwippo interview? I think there's a Reddit thread that said the question that he was asked, and then the guy like transcribed what the answer was for Bwippo, and it was like 8 paragraphs long. He was like, "Here's the question," and then 8 paragraphs later he does this, which is kind of Bwippo. Anyway, we should get to the games. Thanks for bearing with me. This weekend, we can start with the match that you guys played. It did go one-sided, but I talked to Inspired after the game, and he said it actually felt a lot closer in game. Is that something you felt as well, Srtty, or how did you recall the series from earlier?
I mean, game 1 was just pain and misery. Like, actually just pain and misery. That game sucked. I don't want to talk about that one. But game 2,
Sure, yeah.
game 2 was like a little bit closer. Game 2, I think either team could have won. I think if we played better around the pressure of the enemy team's global ults and found ways to bring our numbers together so that we weren't as split around the map and isolated, it maybe would have been more playable. But yeah, Fly pretty good.
Any thoughts from you, Sheiden?
They're just better. And our practice is just bad.
Yeah.
Like game 2, we didn't know what to do because we never like practiced that, I guess.
Was game 2 the Italy game?
No,
No, we
game
just
1 was in the league game.
Okay.
We were just
two was-
struggling. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
We were just struggling to what to do against the 3 global ults.
Right.
And it was like hard to go on one side because our champs are just, I
Yeah.
don't know what it was. It was just hard. We haven't watched it yet.
As in, just you weren't ready for. So what the 3 global ults? You have Pantheon, Galio, and
Tilly.
Talia.
oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think I fucked up job too. I think I should have first picked Pantheon because everything was just gone.
That's
Are
not-
you drafting for your team?
No, I don't remember what happened, but we could have first picked Pantheon, but yeah, I think you would have had to pick the same matchup too or something. I don't know.
Yeah. How'd it go for you guys, the series?
I mean, for me, I felt like we weren't playing that well. I think just like individually, my laning phase wasn't that good. I don't think I played team fights that well, and I didn't play our comp or like our win conditions that well. But it felt like, I guess in the first game, Bwippo just got like pretty far ahead, and then he was kind of soaking a lot of pressure. He was making a lot of space on the map, and that game felt pretty simple. And then the second game, it felt like both teams were pretty AFK. So then I just ended up playing Sivir with like 350 CS at 27 minutes. So that one is like pretty straightforward for what I have to do.
Sivir into Jhin.
Yeah. So both games just like, I don't think either team played that well.
Busio?
I think both games we had like a very straightforward draft. In the first one, it kind of relied on the Nidalee getting ahead, which she did, so it was pretty simple. And then game 2, our comp kind of had a little bit of everything, like with the global pressure, but then we also had really strong team fight if the Sivir gets fed. So it felt pretty simple.
Felt a little draft gappy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's it like for you guys? And this is going back a little bit because I remember the Flyquest arc of Flyquest almost wins spring. Then Jensen has the like 2 or 3 anti games, and there's the viral Inspired interview where he's talking with Degon or something, and it comes across that he's just flaming Jensen and blaming him for everything. This is I'm oversimplifying. So for people who are watching, Jensen used to be on Flyquest at the beginning of last year. You guys almost won the spring split. And that interview happened along the same time that there was another content piece where we did like this Flyquest VOD review in this room. And it felt like Inspired and Bwippo were just like talking all the time and they almost became the villains. But I don't necessarily feel like that's how your team operates. It's not just like Bwipo and Inspired talking to everyone until they agree. But like, was that true back then? And how has that evolved now to you guys being more experienced on the team and being together for longer? Are you now both having more of a say in how things work within Flyquest?
I think for sure, like in spring, it would seem that way because both Bwipo and Inspired are like big personalities.
Yeah.
I think Inspired, even when he does interviews, he's just very straightforward. He doesn't like sugarcoat his answers or make it like teammate friendly.
It's exactly what he thinks.
Yeah, he will just say, I think this guy played like shit. And that's what happened. In spring, I would say they were like the two biggest voices because I was a rookie and Alan was just having his second year. And then Jensen was also in there because he had a lot of experience. So he also brought some things to the table. But then I think this year, Busio has stepped up a lot in terms of like adding to the team. I think I have stepped up and Quad also has made a big step up. So now it's more of like an even spread.
Yeah. You feel, I mean, this is just my casual observation, but you feel way more confident this year than you did last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just experience makes you more confident. And yeah, in terms of like Bwipo and Inspired, like previously being big leaders, they kind of like taught us so much that now we have more of our own responsibilities that we kind of control. So it becomes an even spread.
Yeah. Is it I mean, it's interesting you say like they taught you a lot, but at the same time, Massu, you said when you were getting better at solo queue, you like mimicked what was happening until you could understand what was happening, and then you almost have your own like opinions based off that understanding. Is that's kind of what happened too as you get more experience with the game? Like maybe a year and a half ago, you were just kind of doing what was being told, but now you're more just like making your own path of how you want to play the game? Or am I just reading too much into it?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. It's like you learn the rules of the game and then you know when you can break them and when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And you also know what's important to focus on and what's just unnecessary. And then all the time you're just calculating when you should be doing something unnecessary versus just the most simple winning play, and then you just play.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I want to get back to Dignitas a little bit. Srtty, I talked to you, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago after the series that you guys won.
Versus Shopify?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about how much you've been practicing and how hard your coach has been pushing you guys. And we had Isles talking on another episode of Pros saying that he really enjoyed the fact that like the coaching staff was holding the team accountable. Just, do you want to go more into detail on like what the practice has been like and how you guys have been improving?
I think our practice in the last week was really bad. I think everybody was playing their own isolated matchups and games, and we weren't really working together as a team, which I think came out and showed today, as we played away from our win conditions in draft, and we just didn't seem very cohesive in general. Different people had different ideas. We weren't all on the same page, and obviously when you verse a good team, that's going to be exploited really heavily. But yeah, I don't know. Last week's practice sucked. Win-loss, other than like one day, it actually wasn't that bad.
Right.
But just the overall quality of the practice didn't set us up for success on stage today at all.
Right. And next week, you guys are matched up against Lion, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. But I want to ask your opinion as well, Sheiden, about kind of the same question I had to Srtty on coaching staff and practice and how that's been going for you.
I like working with our coaching staff, but the way we practice is just bad.
Okay.
Or I don't know, like we just, when we scrum, it's just bad. It's like, it's probably like solo queue.
Too much looseness, not enough structure. What do you think about it as bad?
Yeah, we kind of just, we never play as a team, I guess. And we just play like 1v1, 2v2, 3v3. And like all five of us take turns of ending. So like we can never like actually practice, I feel like. And so when we get on stage, it's just a mess, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you've been a pro player for a while, right? Isn't that always the problem though in a lot of scrims? Like people run it down in scrims. I'm wondering, do you have good weeks where everyone is on the same page and you're actually working on team concepts, and then last week was just bad because it was too loose?
Yeah, sometimes we scrim well, but then like it goes back to like where it was shit. Then it just repeat.
Yeah.
So we can never like go to the next step, I guess.
Yeah. I was talking to Whippo the other week, or actually no, I wasn't even talking. I heard him on stream talking about how. Does he also talk about 2018 Fnatic like all the time with you guys? Or is that only a stream thing?
He dropped some quotes and some stories, yeah.
Okay, so bear with me here. I was watching Whippo stream and he was talking about 2018 Fnatic again, but he was saying how that team was good because everyone was very focused on themselves as individuals, and then it came together as a team. But I also know a lot of times team practice is focusing on teamwork and de-emphasizing the individual play. So where do you fall on that spectrum currently, do you think, for Flyquest?
Well, for our team right now, we're really focused on everybody just make sure they're in a good spot themselves.
Yeah.
And if you need something, then you need to say it. It's your responsibility to make sure your team knows what you need. And then if everyone's doing that for themselves, then as a team, we'll be in a good spot because everyone thought about themselves.
Sheiden, is that something like that, somewhat similar for you guys, where focus on yourself and then make sure the team knows what you need, or is it more? Is it different than that?
I think people don't know what they need or what they're playing or doing. I guess it's like everyone. Then we just lose. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
It's been a rough week.
Yeah, it's been a rough week.
Yeah, pretty bad. Like not playing scrims as stage, I guess. So it's bad.
Yeah, I mean that's the hardest thing to do is play scrims like stage. I remember I was with Team Liquid for like 2.5 splits. So Jensen was the player who was just so often awful in scrims. But then he shows up on stage and he's like playing super controlled, like 15 CS up, gonna be there in team fights, calming super well. And then he's just like dies 4 times in laning phase. Nothing I could do.
I remember Nuke Duck would always tell Jensen, yo, you need to take some pre-workout before scrims.
Just to wake up.
Yeah, because Jensen would show up game 1 and he would just like not be locked in at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a scrim inter on Dignitas, or is it all everyone taking turns?
I think everybody takes turns. I think that I've had some kind of terrorist games, but I think everybody takes turns.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
Maybe like Kaney is really good in scrims in lane. That guy's a beast in lane in scrims.
Yeah, everyone just ends like one by one. Then next one, the other one ends. Then
And that's the
it's just
issue.
like never-ending cycle, I guess.
Do you guys talk to each other before the game? Like what your win conditions are and how you're going to play?
Not
Yeah,
really.
but then like it's still the same, you know. So
Really?
I guess especially scrims.
Okay.
I think we're just not disciplined. Like everyone plays crazy on stream or scrim. Then we get on stage, everyone's playing like
I mean, you got a point, you know?
yeah, like everyone's like trading to death, fighting to death on scrim. We got on stage, no one's doing anything. So yeah, that too.
That's the hardest thing to adjust to as a jungler too, because like you could run into these champions that are scrim traps. Like sometimes Pantheon is just godlike in scrims because every lane is constantly gankable and everyone's burning summoner spells. Then you go on stage and they're like just freezing the wave in front of their turret and you have to farm.
Yeah.
So you get fake data. Let's talk about C9 a little bit because they 2-0'd TL last week. They're 3-0. Before we talk to Flyquest, who do you think is going to win their first place series next week, C9 versus Flyquest?
I think it depends really heavily on how Flyquest solos perform. Because I think that if C9 wins, a lot of the time it comes from their top laner having an individual lead and then playing through him. I think that C9 is pretty good as a team, but I think that they're less consistent. Like Blau is less consistent than Inspired in the way that he plays the game. He has his int moments, whereas Inspired doesn't really do that. So I think if the game is really stable, bad things might happen for C9. And I think it just depends like how the games are played on the day. It can go either way, honestly.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Sheiden? You guys have scrimmed Flyquest and C9.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think we've ever won against Flyquest, but
That's true, actually. We've beaten C9, but we haven't won versus Fly.
yeah, I think Flyquest will win.
Okay. Any reason? Just better?
They're just better. Yeah.
Good answer. Perfect.
And I think C9 like ends sometimes randomly.
Yeah.
Fly doesn't really do that. I think Oh, never mind. Yeah.
No, do you think there's a difference between Blabber and Inspired? Like, do you think one of them is better than the other?
I think it's a lot easier playing against Blabber. But Inspired is like, it's really hard to get a lead against him because he doesn't like do like random like mistakes. I think Blabber does that more, so it's easier to play against Blabber.
Is Blabber still doing like really aggressive kind of random counter jungling and scrims?
No, he just randomly in sometimes, and I don't think Inspired ever does that, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on this. I'm thinking about it earlier today, that I feel like the way C9 wins and the way you guys win are just are different. C9 on stage is Blabber full clearing mostly on repeat, and their laners, Thanatos, Loki, just getting a lot of farm, and then they'll like get to a team fight or an objective with like a 2,000 gold lead and win. Whereas look at the way you guys win, and like game one you got the advantage by getting 3 kills under the enemy turret. Like you're actually doing risky stuff to advance the game, whereas C9 is doing passive stuff to advance the game. Is that accurate, do you think?
Sometimes. It just depends.
It
Like,
depends on the comp and the state of the game.
it's just game to game, you know?
Yeah.
We just do what we think is good. Like,
Right,
we
for
don't...
the state and for the draft.
Yeah, like today we dove them because we could, even though it's like a little risky,
Yeah.
but we can if we just play reasonably, and we did so went well. We're not really, like we still play, like honestly, I'd say not too risky on stage. So it's just case by case.
Yeah, they beat you last time. I don't 100% remember that game. Does that factor in at all for the rematch, or is it more just new patch, new opponent?
I don't really think that factors too much.
Yeah.
The draft or the patches are different, but the champs are mostly the same. But the way you play early now with only 1 grubs and with objectives being like different timers changed. So I mean, I think you're right. I think C9 plays more of a standard game, which I think we do a lot too. But we are able to make more creative plays, I would say.
Yeah.
Our team knows how to find more creative angles.
Yeah.
And I think C9, they just play a standard game. Like their solo lanes get ahead in lane. Their bot lane is very stable. Then they know how to move around the map well. They know which side to pressure, stuff like that. So I think as long as we just play focused and we play to our win cons, I think we can win.
Yeah, I almost feel like the way you play, and these are overgeneralizations to your point because it will depend on the draft, is like has a higher ceiling because you're more willing to take risks and do exactly what's optimal. Whereas I feel like C9 is kind of like, well, if they're not winning lanes, then they don't really run plays. Like they're not really setting up dives. They're not really advancing the game. They're just kind of letting the game win, which I hope they change because I do want to see, if they manage to win the split, I want to see them be able to do well at MSI. But this is a long way of me saying I like the way you guys play.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I like how you play Jatt.
Oh, thanks,
9-1
man.
on Lulu, that's
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
that's a good record,
90%.
right? Yeah.
Stats don't lie. You should cue it up more.
Yeah, it's I need to find the time. Anyway, 100 Thieves. What happened to 100 Thieves? Did you guys see the games yesterday?
Who they were 100 Thieves SR?
SR.
Oh yeah, I remember if 100 Thieves won that game, then we would have been guaranteed third, which would have meant that we would be playing DSG to advance into playoffs. Now we're playing Lion, because we had to see who won between DSG and Lion today, since we're now fourth.
Right.
I watched the games. Well, I watched some of them. We were scrimming at the time, so like it's kind of hard to watch all of them. I saw Irelia get locked in, and bad things happen. And I mean, I think everybody knows that champion is completely useless if you are not up an exorbitant amount of gold.
Yeah.
You have to snowball so hard to make that champ useful, and then one hard CC ability, and it's just worthless again. I don't think it can be picked in competitive.
And he was 0-4-0 to start the game, so
Yeah.
that didn't help.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not what you want to happen in the matchup, but it can happen in competitive because the Gnar will actually have people helping him.
Yeah.
He's not on his own like he would be in solo queue.
Shade, did you watch the game?
A little bit. I saw the early one. I think it's too hard to play.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think of 100 Thieves in general? Because this is, I'm interested to get your take. In the first part of the split, it seemed like really clear that we had like a top 4, bottom 4. But it doesn't really feel that way anymore, especially with Shopify. You guys have had a bunch of close games. We had Licorice on. It's kind of, Flyquest and C9 are the clear top.
Yeah.
TL maybe a little bit below them. Then there's almost just like the rest of the teams and then DSG at the bottom.
Yeah, basically.
But how do you feel about like 100 Thieves? And do you feel like they were kind of top 4, or are they just the same as everybody else?
I think, yeah, they're all the same, except C9 and Fly.
Mhm.
Maybe TL. Sometimes they're really good in play when it matters, I think. But yeah, the rest are just the same, I think.
Is 100 Thieves similar in scrims compared to stage?
I don't think we've ever actually. Have we ever scrimmed them?
You haven't
100
scrimmed in this
Thieves?
split?
Yeah. First split only, no? I don't think.
No, we scrimmed them this split as well. We beat them in scrims actually that day.
Nice.
I don't remember.
I
to be
think
honest, but yeah.
100 is probably the easiest team of like the preconceived top 4 for us to beat, because the way that they play is just so chaotic that it's like, okay, if we individually play well, we just win. They don't have any structure and they haven't really improved. We've not improved as much as we would like because our practice has been bad. Not using an excuse, that's everybody's responsibility on the team, mine included. But I think that the reason that 100 is now fallen into this like clump where they're like with everybody else is just because they haven't changed the way that they play. They haven't improved upon their issues. The same things are still happening.
Pretty solo queuey and then like hand checky in team fights?
And they're just not that smart about how they play the map, I think.
Do you guys have any thoughts on 100 Thieves? I feel like we
Yeah.
probably asked you about. We've had the same 100 Thieves conversation for like a year.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? Because they were winning and then they fall back. Has it actually just been the same team for the past year?
Yeah, they just don't have many tactics, so they're just kind of fighting and vibing. I saw in one interview, River was saying like he thinks they're worse because they're playing too controlled in scrims, so then on stage they're not playing loose enough.
Yeah.
So clearly their coaching staff and their players disagree with how they should be practicing and playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have issues.
They've scaled back scrim flipping too much, and now it's hurting.
According to their player. The coaches,
Nice.
we don't know what they
They're
think.
anonymous player. Or did you?
River said it.
River said
I don't
that.
know where I
Okay,
saw
great.
it, but I saw him say it in an interview.
Oh, it was an interview. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were like leaking some.
No,
to
it's
try and, like-
public, yeah.
Okay. Any additional thoughts?
I mean, yeah, they're just inconsistent
Yeah.
because of the nature of the way they play. If the first few plays they make in the game don't work out, then they just keep snowballing it and they lose. And if the first few plays work out and they're actually stronger than you, so then they can take every fight, then they do well.
Yeah. Are there any thoughts on Shopify? Because they're the weirdest team to me. Up until last week, up until they beat 100 Thieves, I was thinking, and this isn't meant to be too much of a backhanded compliment, they were like, by far the best team that hasn't won. Because they were literally winless. But their series against you was super competitive. Their series against you was actually pretty competitive. Or Shopify, and it's too hard to really know, but like, do you feel like they're better than 100 Thieves? They did beat them in a best of 3, but it was super close. But if they were to play again, do you think they would be favored in the matchup?
Yeah, I would say so. It looks like Shopify's improving, and 100 Thieves I can't really tell the difference week to week. So yeah, I'd say Shopify is better than them.
What about Shopify versus Team Liquid? They play next week. Who would you favor?
Team Liquid.
I think
I was
TL
still
would win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All 4 TL?
I think TL would win.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think TL is going to continue to improve? I know there's a meme that C9 has that no matter how much you beat TL in scrims, they're still going to win the split. Do you feel that? Are they weak in scrims right now?
They've gotten better in scrims recently, I think. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you guys have scrimmed them in a while because they're in your group, right? So maybe you haven't?
They're not in our group. And,
Oh, wait, yeah, you're in our group.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm dumb.
But we've scrimmed them occasionally. They don't like to scrim us that much, so we have a small sample size,
I
but
see.
they don't seem better in scrims this split or even recently than they were at the start of the split.
Interesting. Maybe it's just because we're low then. We can't really tell. But I feel like they've gotten better in scrims.
Yeah. It's an interesting format we have for the next week because it feels like playoffs are starting. I mean, you're playing an elimination match against Lion.
Yes.
You guys are playing for first seed. Technically, Team Liquid and Shopify are playing for third and fourth seed, but the number 1 seed gets to pick their side of the bracket anyway.
Oh, so that doesn't matter.
So like,
Yeah.
if they end up playing each other later in the playoffs, then it'll matter for like who gets side selection. That's pretty much it.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of an
matters
exhibition
a little
game.
bit.
It matters a
Like-
tiny little bit. But like, if you're picking between the two, you're probably picking Shopify. If you beat C9, you're probably picking Shopify next week. You don't need to answer, but like, I'm kind of
I'm not the
kinda
one that makes
feeling-
that decision.
the team will make it as a collective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one final thing I want to talk about is the game, because we did have like a mini preseason in the middle of the split, and that's kind of disrupted things. Grub timers moving back, Otacon changing. How has that influenced the way that you've been making decisions in game?
I think it made it easier for our team because we've been notoriously bad at swaps. I think everybody on the team has a very bad idea about how to approach them. And as a result, when nobody has like a clear POV on what to do in those situations, the number of times they happen during a game being reduced is good for us, which might be part of why we're looking a little bit better than we were before. But yeah, I'd say it made the early game a little slower.
Right. Sheiden, what do you think?
We're still bad. I don't think it did anything.
Sure.
How has it changed the way you play, though? Has it made it easier? Has it made it more difficult? Because you've played in, like, is it just the same as what Rift Herald was like when it spawned at 8 minutes, or is it different?
It's kind of not like as easy to get level 6 now, I guess. That's the difference.
Because you were relying on grubs to get level 6 as a jungler?
Yeah, if you Fulcur twice and got Void, or one Scout Ulti, you got 6 up while doing it. Then you can look for that to fight with it or something.
What do you do instead now?
Try not to give Jag or do Jag early.
Okay.
And maybe you can swap for his Void.
Yeah. How's it changed for you guys?
I think now like junglers, them lose, like it's not as snowbally because before like the jungler who got 6 first, then like they could get grubs, get 6, then they automatically win that fight, and then they could kind of push that lead pretty hard. They could get the second scuttle spawn and like keep snowballing pretty hard. I think now like certain jungle champs are better because they don't have to fight grubs early. And then I think in terms of laning, I don't think it's changed as much as I would have thought at the beginning of this patch, but the variables kind of like swapped around in a way where you have to still make the same decisions as if there were grubs, but now like you get more creativity in how you decide. I don't really want to say like too much.
Of course, because you're still figuring it out and you want to use it for your advantage. Yeah. Okay, final thing, we know all the matchups. I want to hear your just gut feeling of who's going to win, and then like very quickly why. Could be just better, could be an actual reason. So we'll start Flyquest versus C9. Who do you think wins next week?
Flyquest.
Why?
I think they're more controlled.
Okay, Sheiden.
Flyquest.
Why?
Better, I guess.
I knew it. And Flyquest.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
No
If
soft
we're
play?
playing well.
Okay, TL Shopify.
TL?
Why?
I think Shopify have an issue where they drop too many waves in mid-game. And I think that although TL has a tendency to group, if they're smart about how they're playing the map, the time is where Shopify does overgroup or when they misuse their TPs by TPing into a lane for no reason and things like that. If they get punished for that, they just can't win.
Right. Sheiden.
TL.
And you can't say, once you say better, you can't use it twice. So you need a different word.
They're just locked in when it matters. They just play really well, I think, when it matters the most, maybe.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. They're like a clutch team.
Yeah.
Busio?
TL, they're just a better team.
Okay, you get one. You
Yeah,
get
that's my one.
Yeah.
TL, I think they have a lot of game players. I think their bot lane, especially if they have like a good matchup and they can snowball the lead into the rest of the game, I think they take over pretty well. I think Shopify's bot lane has been recently more like on the very passive side. So I would say TL.
Yeah. We're going to start on this side. Lion versus Dig.
Just say it, bro. Just get over it.
I'm sorry. I think Lion.
Okay, why?
I think their AD and mid are very strong. So again, like if they have a good position in the game and their comp is like even decent, then they're able to carry.
Saint and Henna. Saint smurfed today on Ari and Yone.
He's making some movies, some banana
He
combos
actually
and
was.
such.
Yeah.
I would say Lion, but I think Dig can also win because Lion doesn't seem to play that well every stage game. Like the past season, just excluding this week, they weren't looking like they looked in scrims on stage. So maybe they have an off week again.
Fair enough. Sheiden?
Dig.
Yes.
Because? How are you going to do it?
Just better.
We will practice better this week.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's completely reliant on how this week's practice goes. I think that we can win because I'm not going to like leak what happened in scrims, but the last time we got some in scrims, it went good for us. But I think it depends entirely on if we can manage to play with each other and all be on the same page for the day of the match. If we can't do that, we're going to lose. And if we can, I think that we will win. Because I think that when it comes to Lion, if the mid and AD aren't in good positions, they just crumble.
Final matchup is DSG versus 100 Thieves. No one has faith in DSG at the moment. Anyone? Any hands?
Ooh.
No? I mean,
That's
it's
a tough
been
sell.
rough. It's been rough for them. Plus 100 Thieves has been a higher tier team. They can probably just hands check them.
Yeah.
Is there any window where DSG wins? How? No?
DSG can't fight well enough to beat 100, and their macro revolves around fighting with things like how they always move their ADC up to the side lane tower and then 4-man it. And then they lose both mid and side towers. That happens a lot in their games.
Yeah.
But if they're opting in to fighting against 100 and they have weak macro against 100, then they're just going to lose because their players are worse individually.
Yeah. Shane, do you have any thoughts
Oh,
on
100.
DSG or 100?
100.
Yeah. What's...
I think we're pretty bad with Scrim DSG yesterday, so I think 100 will just win.
Fair enough. Thanks for joining us. I'm out of questions unless you have anything else to add.
Yeah,
Busio.
why is your name Jatt? Isn't your first name Josh?
It is.
So what's Jatt?
It was a save. So back in the olden times on the
Okay.
Nintendo,
Oh.
you needed like little save files that you put in the back of the controller cartridge, and you played games with friends, right?
Yeah.
I had a friend named Matt, and when we played a game together, that was the save file name. It was J
Oh,
at.
this is your couple name.
Yeah, much better than Mosh.
Very cute.
Much better than Mosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Jatt or Mosh. And
Okay.
then I just started using it when I started playing Guild Wars, the original game. And then branding was important, and I was a good Guild Wars player.
Okay.
So when I started League, a lot of people actually knew me from Guild Wars. And then it just carried on until today. Yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
Good to know.
It's not a great name, honestly.
That was
now.
pretty good.
So listen, it's good unless you're Punjabi.
What?
What does
What
it
does
mean?
it mean?
There's a whole like class of people that are called Jatt in India. It
okay.
never like reaches the SEO, but like if I was to make the name again, I never would have done that because of like any chance of possible appropriation.
That's fair.
But it's
I
like
see.
too late to change
Fair
at this
enough.
point.
Yeah.
So I feel a bit bad about it, but the origins were innocent.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have known.
I couldn't have known.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old. So it's like 25 years ago. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the question. Sheiden, thanks for joining us. I hope we
you.
continue to interview you for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I love doing this. I'll do more.
Okay, good stuff. That's it for pros. LTA, final week of the regular season, a couple elimination matches, a couple seeding matches happen next week. We'll see you then.